We live, baby.
We're here.
This is Weeknights. Y'all know about Weeknights? It's a show. I don't know if y'all heard of it, but 5 nights a week, these two crazy cats. That's some old shit right there. These two crazy cats,
Kittens.
they they get together and they talk about all the going ons, all the things happening in the entertainment industry, in the culture, in the music world, all of the above. And those two cool cats are not your grandparents. They're me and my co-host. Co-host, what's your name?
Not even your mama.
Not
Um,
even your mammy.
I'm Dash, aka the real king of R&B.
Yeah. I
That's me.
never know if you're going to say the last one or not. Sometimes you say Dashing V, sometimes you don't. So I don't want to cut you off. I'll be trying to wait. That's why I always take like a slight pause. Like,
Yeah.
she going to say it? She going to say it?
Sometimes I just want to, I just want to get right to it. We got a lot. We got a lot to get to, and
True that.
cut it down a little bit.
Sometimes you got to cut it down.
Hmm.
I am JD, a.k.a. He Who Pods, a.k.a. He Who Wishes He Was Sleeping. Listen, I'm gonna do like Usher and confess today. I don't want to be here today. I really would like to just be relaxing, maxing all cool and all, shooting some b-ball outside of the school,
With
that kind
a
of
couple of guys, it was up to no good. Started making trouble in my neighborhood. I got in
right.
one fight, and my mom got scared. She said, "You move up with your auntie and uncle in Bel Air." I whistled for a cab, and when it came near the license plate, okay, we're good. We're done here.
I was about to jump right in. Go ahead. All right, let's move on. Hey, let me ask you a question.
Oh, you asking me? Wait a minute. Wait a fucking minute. No, I just want to let everybody know why I'm reacting this way because I just said I had like a thing that I needed to say, and you just hijack the show out of control, sir. And you were the one who said, now putting all our business out on Front Street. You were the one who said, oh, look at the time. We got to hurry up. Now you're going to ask me a question. All right, go ahead. What's your question? What you want to know?
Right, go ahead.
What you want to
Go
know?
ahead.
Tell
No, go ahead.
me.
Do your thing.
Tell me. Because I don't, what's happening here?
Nothing. Go ahead. Do your thing. I'll ask you a question another time.
My question for you, my question for you is, did you check your TikTok today?
I did not go on TikTok today.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I went
Was
on
it was it
TikTok.
was it was it dry in those music streets?
Well, I went through some of my old TikTok videos, and yes, some of the music is gone. Not all of it, because it wasn't, I guess it all wasn't UMG music, but quite a few of my old posts don't have music anymore. It says something like music removed due to copyright issue. Click here to replace song.
Oh, that's cool that they let you replace it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
So
pretty cool. I thought we just about to have a bunch of silent videos up there. You know what I mean?
no, you can actually fix it if you want to. So
That is really smart on TikTok's part.
yeah, they said, "Oh, we're gonna make a way out of no way." don't
And you
don't
could
even
and you
worry about.
could totally put in new and trending music and probably get your video some extra views now.
Yep, yep. So
Maybe I
yeah,
do need to get on TikTok.
it's probably a good time for that to kind of re do some reposts or add some music to some of the new music to old TikToks that maybe didn't perform as well.
Right.
Or maybe they did perform as well and you want to repost it with some different music. That yeah, it's a perfect time to mess around with TikTok and maybe build some engagement.
No, that's true. That's really smart.
Yeah. So just wanted to ask
So
because
did you put some new music or not yet?
I didn't have time for that.
Got
I don't have time for anything, but I did not have time for that. Maybe at some point this weekend I'll go through them when I have some time, but no, I didn't. I didn't do that. But I do believe it's a smart move. If you do have the time to do it, you know, you want to see some videos, get some views that maybe they didn't get before, I think it's probably a good idea. So,
yeah, that audio sometimes makes a difference.
it does. Yeah. Yeah.
All
Which is
right.
exactly why they're feuding. Um,
Yes. Yes, indeed.
so let's get to it because we got some things to talk about.
Yeah. Where you want to start? You want to start with the hot topic in the streets, or you want to start with a really confusing show?
I'm gonna let you pick since you didn't get to ask your question.
All right, let's start with what's hot in the streets. So
Okay.
you sent me a post
Mm-hmm.
from Shade Room, right? That's what it was.
I think it was Shade Room. Yeah.
Yep, Shade Room. I didn't even need to squint for that. You sent me a post by Shade Room. It's
Yeah.
two people discussing Netflix and chill as the first date, and one person is trying to push for it, and the other person says no, they're not with it. They try to compromise, that doesn't work out, and so the other person who was not really feeling it says, "No worry, man. Stay blessed. Adios." They chuck up the deuces and they get up out of there, which is the smart move. So the conversation we said we were gonna have is Netflix and chill on the first date. Are we for it? Are we against it? I'm gonna be very honest. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say the key piece to this I felt um the key piece in the conversation was that the person who said, and I believe it was a guy and a girl, and the guy was pushing for the Netflix and chill, and he says the reason why he doesn't want to go somewhere is because he doesn't like to go out in public with women on the first date. He likes to get to know them first before he goes out in public with them.
That's
So
what he
I
said.
just I just want to point that out because I think that is a key thing to that specific conversation. I know we're gonna pull it away from that and speak more generally, but that was a key piece to that exchange that those two people had. And her response was, well, I don't really like that idea. I don't like the idea of you coming to my home or me going to your home. Why don't we find a compromise? She was willing to. And then he basically says, no, that's what I want to do. And she's like, okay, well, fine. Then, we'll just go our separate ways.
Yes.
I just wanted to point out that I think that makes a difference here in if we're talking about what was said in that conversation.
Got it. Well, I think I mean, I don't know if it was a man and a woman, but I think the person who was pushing for Netflix and chill was lying. I don't think this was about knowing people before a first date, because a first date is usually purposely not at somebody's house. It's usually in a setting where you meet the person somewhere in a mutual space, so both people feel safe, and you can get to know them in a less confined space. Um, so I think that part is pretty clear. I think that person who was pushing for the Netflix and chill either had ulterior motives, like they did want to, you know what I mean? Uh, they did want to try to lead it to physicality, even though they said they were not, or they didn't want to spend no money on these hoes. You know what I'm saying? As they say. But my problem
Or
with
number
that
three,
is, yeah,
no, number three could have been to endanger this person's safety because
sure,
we don't know, right? So I think number three is hanging out there too. Like, there are people who will coax you to meet them maybe you met someone online and they coax you to meet them and they're not who they say they are and they're not a safe person to be around. There are situations that happen like that too. So, you know, that was
Yeah,
kind of the third, I guess that's the outlier there. But yeah.
sure. Yeah, I mean, that one didn't really come to my mind, but yes, that's also possible. I think the whole thing is I see multiple things. I see one, we don't know the context of how long they have known each other and been talking.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes before a first date, but it seems like they met online because he said, I didn't see any pictures besides the pictures that were there. You
Mm-hmm.
didn't send me any other pictures. Sometimes when you meet somebody online or on a dating app, you might be talking for a long time before you meet up. So I know personally, I've been in situations where Netflix and chill, quote unquote, was the first date, but we were both comfortable because we were talking for so long that we built a rapport and felt like we both feel safe, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
as much as women speak about men setting them up and putting them in unsafe situations, as a man, I don't know what the hell is going on at your house either, right? So if I go on a first date to a woman's house, and most people would think, oh, but you're going to a woman's house, it's safer than her coming to your house. I don't know that. I don't know where she lives. I don't know what her living situation is. I mean, this woman could have a husband living in the house with her, unbeknownst to me. You know what I'm saying? All type of stuff. I could be getting got, you know what I'm saying? Especially there have been circumstances where that has happened as well. There are even celebrities who we know stories about who they'll go to a woman's house and it was a setup. So Netflix and chill is usually not the first date for all of those reasons. But I will say on the flip side, I have been in situations and I know people have been in situations where it felt right. It felt okay. Both people felt comfortable doing it because they built a rapport. They have been speaking for whatever time they both felt was an adequate amount of time for them to go
Mm-hmm.
and do this thing and not feel any way about it.
Mm-hmm.
But is that the typical situation? Not really. So this is the other perspective where a first date usually is public for all of the reasons that we're saying, right? So people do feel
Right.
comfortable, do feel safe. You can get to know each other without certain pressures of, oh man, maybe this person is going to try to pressure me into doing this or pressure me into doing that. Do I leave? What time do I leave? All these different things, right? And so I also see that side where it's like, well, typically a first date is not me coming to your crib or you coming to my crib. It's more like, let's go somewhere that's an open space, somewhere where, neither person can wild out but so much. You're not going to be breaking everything in the restaurant, but you could easily come to my house, get upset, and try to break everything in my house, right? So it also is kind of a protocol in place for people to have to, not maybe a protocol, but safeguards in place. So people are kind of behaving as well, right? And so, if we're at a bar or a cafe or even walking in the park, there are other people in a certain distance where if I feel unsafe, I can navigate one way or
Right.
another. So I
Yeah.
see both sides. I think if we had more context, for this specific situation, it will be helpful. It does
Mhm.
seem like they don't have much of a rapport. It seems like they kind of just met, but we don't know that to be a fact, right? I'm
Right.
inferencing based on the screenshots that we saw. But I could be absolutely wrong. I do think that it is circumstantial or situational, kind of the same thing. I think situations and circumstances kind of dictate what feels good or does not feel good.
Mhm.
And generally in dating, I think comfortability is what matters probably the most, right? If someone is telling you, like the person in the text message is saying, I'm not really comfortable with that, then I wouldn't keep pushing. It's not really
Right.
smart or safe to keep pushing, especially in today's climate, because even if the person did go to your crib, now they could say, well, you kind of made me come here, which is bullshit. But in today's climate, why open yourself up to that? It's
Right.
better to kind of compromise and see, and you get more bees with honey. You know what I'm saying? Like
Of course.
trying to sway the person to do something they don't want to do. I don't know. Personally, my philosophy is in dating, I always want the person to be comfortable, right? Whatever the circumstance is, I always want it to be consensual and I always want them to be comfortable. And I'm not just talking about sex, just anything. Like if we're going to get ice cream, I want to make sure, hey, you cool with getting ice cream? I don't want to just be like, yeah, we walking in the Haagen-Dazs right now. Let's go. Get in Haagen-Dazs. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
I hear you. I thought a few things with this.
Hmm.
Um, I I think the reason why I said what the person said about I don't go out in public with women before I get
Spend
to know
one-on-one
them
with them.
or spend time with them, whatever, however they phrased it. I just thought that would what it doesn't to me that didn't make any sense, but I thought it was relevant because it was their reason for doing the Netflix and chill period. Now,
Hmm.
I agree. I think it depends on how comfortable you are. I think in terms of safety, it's the least ideal situation to be in, because you don't know what you're walking into. You don't know if the place you're going to is unsafe. You don't know if there will be other people around, or maybe there won't be other people around, and maybe that is the problem. Um, Listen, people have much in their homes at their disposal that they can do harmful things to you with, right? There's
Right.
knives, there's this, there's that. And again, I just feel like anyone who is super adamant about not, it's like you said, like someone who is unwilling to compromise, I have to assume that that person has some sort of ulterior motive. And I don't know what that ulterior motive is. It could be sex, but it also could be something worse,
Right.
which
It could be Dahmer.
right. And that's why I'm like,
Yeah.
no,
Dahmer
if
was
you're
out
going
here
to
saying, we're
press
just going to watch a
me,
movie. Relax.
right. If you're going to press me about coming to your house to watch movies, it's like weird. Also, again, to your point, level of comfortability. And I don't even think it matters whether they met online or not. You meet people out and about all the time and you don't know them. You just meet them. So it could very well be that, they met, they were out, maybe they went to the club, maybe they, met in the grocery store. It wouldn't really matter. They still, if they don't have some sort of rapport with one another, there's no, where does the comfort come from?
Right.
I think that there are people who you meet in life where you kind of just take to their spirit, and you maybe connect with them in a deeper way than you would connect normally with anyone else. And that might guide you to do things that you might not normally do. Again, I would never encourage anybody to go and hang out at someone's house when they didn't really know what the situation was or the circumstances were, or they didn't have a lot of knowledge of who this person was. But I've done some things on first dates that I probably shouldn't have done. So I'll
Right.
be I'll be the first one to admit that you don't always you don't sometimes you get swept up in it, whatever it is, and you do things that maybe might be out of character for you, or just that maybe I'm living on the edge right now, but I'm gonna do it
Right.
anyway. um you know as I get older, I think I'm a little bit more sensitive to those things. I don't do not not inclined to be reckless, but I totally understand, like, okay, this person seems safe, so I'm gonna do this. I mean, people have sex on the first date and don't think, you know, that it's gonna turn into an unsafe situation. Maybe they should think that way just to be cautious,
Right.
but yeah, you never know. My problem is, what the fuck does it mean that you don't go out in public with what what does that mean? I don't go
Mm,
out in public
it
with
means he
people
don't, it
before I
means he
know
doesn't want to
them.
be seen with women. It means he doesn't want to be seen with women he don't think fit a certain criteria.
But then don't date them. Don't go on any date with them. If you can't be
Yeah.
seen in public with them, that just, to me, that sounds silly and immature. And like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I agree with that because I mean, sure, you're not going to take them to the family function or the spot that maybe all you and your people go to every time. But you could find a cafe, a diner, a bar somewhere that you don't frequent, your peoples don't frequent, if that's the worry. Because I mean, if you think you're that much of a hot shit that everybody's gonna sweat you because oh man, I saw you out with Dash. What are you doing out with Dash? Oh my god! If you think you that fly, cool. But number one, you probably not that fly. And number two, you could go anywhere. Like if it's like, hey, me and my peoples always go to Harley Quinn Diner, then don't take that person to Harley Quinn Diner. To go
Right.
to a random Starbucks in Timbuktu, like it doesn't have to be those spots. You could find a spot that, oh yeah, or even a spot that neither one of you have been to. Yo, I never been to, the Hammer Cafe. You ever been to the Hammer Cafe? Nah. All right, let's check out the Hammer Cafe. I hear they got, lavender lattes. Let's check it out.
Which also makes things interesting.
Right.
Sometimes that is the thing that you end up getting to connect on and find some common ground on. Oh, neither of us have been to this place. This seems really interesting. Now
Right.
you're kind of exploring something new together, which can be exciting on a
Yeah.
date. Um, you made me think of something though.
What's up?
Quick story time.
Story time.
I know the internet streets miss my story, so let me give you one.
Give him a story.
For those of y'all who don't know. but okay, so let's talk about Paul. Yeah, I'm saying his name because I never knew his last name. I don't think he knew my last name. I don't really think it matters. But let's talk about Paul. Paul was really affable. He was a nice guy. I met Paul at a speed dating event.
You wild, son. Don't be like you when I grow up.
I met Paul at a speed dating event, and what's funny about meeting Paul is that Paul was the only black guy at the speed dating event. I wanted to try
Wait,
speed
wait, wait,
dating.
wait. And were you the only black woman at the speed
Yes,
dating event?
absolutely.
They
So
made it too easy for y'all.
so
Y'all
I
gotta stop. You see, the problem was y'all both chose all white speed dating establishments.
I agree with that because if you know you know, like, I don't, it doesn't matter what I don't do, but you can read between the lines, okay? Let's just say I shouldn't have been at the all white speed dating event. I wasn't going home
For
with
mad reasons.
anything.
For mad reasons. But go ahead, back to your story.
So I go, I'm talking to people, whatever. I meet this guy, Paul. Paul seems like a nice guy. Not really the guy I would normally go for, but he seemed sweet. And, we chatted for a little bit, obviously, whatever the time frame they gave us. I think it was like 10 minutes or something like that. And we chatted for a little while, and he seemed cool. I could tell that Paul was kind of sweet on me from our 10-minute conversation. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, he's not bad. Like, he's cool. Again, he was a nice guy. There was nothing particularly special about this Paul guy, right?
Right.
So, so we leave the event, whatever. You're supposed to write down the people that you want to match with, and then you give them the paper, and then if that person wanted to match with you also, the company would contact you like a couple days later and tell you, hey, here's this person's personal information. They wanted to match with you as well.
Ah, okay.
Right. So that way everybody stays safe and you're not having to deal with people you don't want to deal with.
Makes sense.
So I wrote Paul's name down because the pickings were slim. So I wrote Paul's name down. I think I met another guy who was not white, and he was cool too. So I wrote his name down. So I wrote his name down, and I was like, "Ooh, couple men
Another
of
guy who
color."
was not white. Oh my god.
So, all right, let me. I know I'm dragging this out, but
No, go for it. Listen, we're here for the ride. We are here for the
So
ride.
so that person, I guess, didn't want to match with me. Because I didn't hear from that person. But I found out Paul wanted to match with me. Surprise, surprise. This was my first experience speed dating. I will not say how many times I've been speed dating. But this was
That's
my
what I was
first
just about to say. How many times you speed dated? What the
but this
hell?
was my first experience
That's
speed
your back.
dating.
Okay.
And I think I'll be really honest, I think part of the reason I wrote Paul's name down is because I knew Paul was going to pick me. And part of me didn't want to be rejected by everybody in the room. I didn't want to feel like nobody picked me.
Okay.
And it's really difficult, heart to heart, it's really difficult being the only Black woman in the room sometimes.
Yeah.
And I don't, one of the reasons why, like, okay, this is getting really personal, but one of the reasons why I don't check for white men like that is because a lot of them don't check for me as a Black woman.
I got you.
So I think that I was just really,
White dudes don't check for me as a Black woman either.
well, you see that?
Anytime I'm the only Black woman in a space, it's awkward for me.
Exactly. So 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 what I'm saying is, I think maybe I was trying to, pad my own ego a little bit and pick someone who I thought would pick me. And surprise, surprise, Paul did pick me. So he reached out and he said he wanted to take me on a date. We exchanged some text messages. It seemed comfortable. It was easy. I wasn't weirded out or anything. He said he wanted to go and take me out on a date. So I said, sure. And he was like, you picked the place. I said, oh, okay. Oh, well, that's not true. Um, at first he said, I got the best date. I think you're really going to like it. Really excited. Next Saturday, uh, my family is doing a bus ride to Six Flags. And I think you should come.
No, Paul.
I was like, your family? He was like, yeah, my mom hosts the bus ride. And your mom? I
No,
had
Paul.
already come off the relationship where the mom hated me. So I was off moms.
No,
At
Paul.
that point, I
Not
was
meeting your mom on the first date.
on the first. No, and it was not just meeting his mom on the first date. It was meeting his entire family
Nah.
on the first date. It was a
Nah,
family
I'm not.
bus
I'm
ride.
not. I'm not. I'm not hanging with Big Jim and Little Jim for 2 hours while we ride to Six Flags.
So I had to break it to him. I said, listen, Paul, I think you're cool and I would like to get to know you better, but I really don't think that meeting your family the first time we hang out makes sense. He was okay. He was okay with that. But you made me remember this because you said you said something about meeting your family or whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh, triggered because I remember when Paul wanted me to meet his family on the first date.
No,
I
Paul.
was stressed. I was stressed. We ended up rescheduling the plans to go to a place that was near my job to have drinks. I
Okay.
ended up I ended up canceling the date though,
Oh
which
no.
I felt bad about. But I also
Why
felt
you do
like,
that to Paul?
okay, so part of it was one, I made a reservation at a place that I really liked, and then afterwards thought about it, and I was like, I think this is a little bit too highbrow. Like, it was one of those places that I went not because I picked it, but because the type of work that I was doing, I was going to a lot of like fancy places in the city, and
Uh,
I I really liked the place and wanted to go back. So I suggested that. And then when I looked at the menu online, I was like, I can't ask this man to spend these prices.
Look
I,
at you doing the what?
I was very uncomfortable with what I had done. And I also just felt like Paul was a cool guy, but I don't think that me and Paul had chemistry. And I knew that already. So I was just like, I'm not gonna jerk this guy around just for some drinks. I could get drinks very easily. That's not. So I canceled the date. I did.
Okay.
Never to be seen or heard from again.
You ghosted Paul.
I didn't ghost Paul. I just told
Oh,
Paul politely that I didn't think we would work out. So I'm
okay.
not gonna. I
Okay.
didn't want to waste his time, and I didn't want to waste mine.
I think that's good.
Yeah, I'm
I
very
think that's the
honest when
right
it
way.
comes
I
to
think that's
stuff
the
like
right way to
that.
do it.
Yeah, I'm not into let's go out because he gonna buy me drinks. I don't. That's whack to me. I don't care about that. That's why I have a job. So, and at the time I was working in entertainment, so drinks,
Drinks were
expensive
flowing.
cocktails were not hard to come by. Right. So that's my little story
Ah, that was good.
about family on the first date.
And
But
speed
yeah,
dating.
and speed dating. Yeah.
Now we know. Don't go to the all white speed dating
I mean, unless that's what you want.
unless that's what you want.
I just wanted to try it out, and none of my friends wanted to go with me, so I went by myself, and I made the most of it. So yeah.
We see that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. Now let me ask you something else.
Ask me something else.
You ever heard of an R&B star and a comedian co-headlining some shit together?
Sure haven't. Nope. I mean, maybe it's happened, but I've never seen it. I'm sure this can't be the first time this has happened.
I, I just,
I would have to
I'm
look
sure in
that
the
up.
comments they're gonna bring up 800 of these,
Yeah.
but I can't recall any time when an R&B artist, whether they're a star or not, was the co-headliner of a show with a comedian.
Yeah.
This is kind of weird.
I feel like a comedian and a rapper is probably more common.
But co-headlining?
And co-headlining is weird. I feel like it's probably, oh, this person opened for me.
Right, because like I could open up for a comedian, or a comedian could open up for me. It's probably I'm a nobody, so I would be opening up for the comedian, but I have no problem with that. But co-headlining,
Yeah, it's a little strange.
yeah.
Who are we
Let's tell
talking
them what we're talking about. Oh, look at us being, you know what I'm saying? We're right here. You know what I'm
NSYNC?
saying? And is that bye bye bye? Is
Nope.
that
I
them?
don't even want to talk about. Nope. We're not talking about NSYNC or that
What's
man. Nope.
I'm asking, is that the song? Is that one of their songs?
That is one of their
All
songs.
right, I just, I get the white groups confused sometimes, so I was just trying to see if I had it right. That's all.
No,
I don't want no
that is
smoke.
NSYNC. But JT is out
I,
here showing his ass, and I
I
don't want to.
wasn't going to bring that up.
All
Wasn't
right.
going to bring that
Cool.
up. I just was
Hmm.
curious. Anyway, so Toni Braxton,
Who do you think I am?
he wasn't man enough for me. You know what I'm saying? Toni Braxton and Cedric the Entertainer are co-headlining together. I'm really confused by this.
Why they do that though?
I don't know. Is it a Vegas residency? Is that what they're
Yes, it
co-headlining?
is.
Okay, I
Yes.
was about to put my specs on. Yeah.
Now it would have
Well,
made more sense to me if it was no, because he's not a
it's
comedian.
just
Never.
it's just the co-headlining part that confuses me, because if you said Toni Braxton was opening up for Cedric the Entertainer, all right, cool show, interested or not interested, you figure that part out on your own. But when you put the co-headlining piece together, it,
Yeah, like
it really baffles me.
because they're splitting the bill. I don't mean the bill like a restaurant bill, but I mean they're
I
splitting
got you.
they're splitting the headline. So
I know, but what baffles me is why and who want to see them two together. Like I don't
well,
understand.
I agree. I don't,
And
but that's
I feel like is this the real response to Cat Williams?
oh, but I don't get it because Tony could totally do a Las Vegas residency by herself.
But maybe Cedric can't. And
Maybe.
that's why I'm asking,
But
is
what's it
this
to
the
Tony?
real response?
Well, what does that mean to Tony? Are they
I
friends?
think I don't yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know.
Yeah, I just feel like what I mean. If
I'm,
Toni said she was co-headlining with Birdman, I'd go, "Oh, okay, it's weird, but yeah, I get it."
I thought they
Or if,
broke up.
yeah, they said they're friends.
Oh, yeah, friends. Okay, got.
Yeah, I think they do more than friendly things, but this is fine. That's
Not
none
my.
of my
I'm staying
business.
out of black women's business.
That's none of my business. Or like if Toni and Babyface said they were gonna co-headline,
I'm getting tickets. If
let
Tony and Babyface go,
I'm just
I
gonna
don't know
move to
who
Vegas
I got
and
to
go
sleep
to
with
the
to
show
get
every
tickets.
night
Yep, exactly. Right. Who I got to sleep with to get backstage passes.
because
You know
because
what I mean? Because I'm gonna be
Toni
right in the crowd telling them I never meant to break their little heart.
Toni and Kenny sitting in front of that piano, I will be there front and center. Okay,
I'm
the two
with
of
that.
them,
I'm
him,
with that.
him, him on the piano, and her just the
Right.
two of them can do no wrong in my eyes.
Yeah,
I
I'm with that. Now that I'm with. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
But after you get the smooth Tony Braxton, then you're gonna have the hard laughs of Cedric the Entertainer. Or the
yeah. That's the
opposite.
other thing.
You're
Who
gonna
goes
have Cedric
first?
Entertainer hold your stomach laughing. And then when you dry those tears, you're gonna hear about Toni Braxton and her tears.
It's such
I
a.
don't know.
I hope Toni gets to go first. I mean, they'll probably swap, like you said, but I hope Toni gets to go first because I feel like, what if the jokes aren't funny?
You're gonna stick through because well, regardless of who you came to see, you're gonna know. I came to see person A. I gotta get through everything else to get to
To
person A.
get to, I guess so. Yeah, yeah.
But then even those crowds, like that's the same crowd, Cedric. This is weird.
Maybe it is though. Maybe it is in
Tony,
some
Tony
way,
Braxton and Cedric.
just because of
You mean the age range, the
the
demographic?
timing of their careers. I think
I can
there
see
would
that.
be some overlap there.
I
Yeah,
can see that. You
maybe
make a good
not
point.
completely, but I think there would be some overlap with the demographics.
We need like a Venn diagram, like Tony
Yeah,
fans, Cedric fans, and then like a itty bitty slice in the middle.
right. Yeah. No, I think
I
there
can
would
see
be
that.
overlap there. Hmm. I don't know what to
It's
say
just
about it. Honestly, I don't understand it, so I don't know
I don't
what
either.
to
I'm
say.
in agreement. I don't understand it either, and I wouldn't go to that show.
No. Mm-mm. I mean, I would love to see Toni Braxton perform, but not if I have to see Cedric at the same time. Sorry.
And that's why I mentioned Cat Williams because Cat Williams said he's been headlining his own show. He's done all these specials, and now you announce this. It looked like you trying to hurry up and get out there to show. I could do my own thing too, but not really. That's why I'm like, is this the real response to Cat Williams?
I mean, because Cedric is about to be like, "Who do you think I am?"
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't know what to make of it.
And I also feel like if you a king of comedy, you need a co-headliner? Question mark.
I don't think I don't want to say anything disparaging about anybody, but
Say it.
I don't think Cedric has been a king of comedy for a long time. Do
Thank
you?
you for saying it. I don't think so either. And but this don't help his cause if that's what you're trying to stand on. If you're trying to say, yo, I'm the man, I'm getting all these movie checks, and I can still do comedy, then that I can still do comedy should not be with a co-headliner named Tony Braxton.
I'm gonna be real honest with you. When I hear Cedric the Entertainer, I think this is the barber shop, and that was a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah. I think of the Steve Harvey show.
Yeah, that happened too, but I think specifically this is the barber shop.
I got you. I'm not disputing
He
that.
was
I'm saying
growling.
that's what comes I'm saying Steve Harvey show comes to my mind when I think of Cedric.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. I
Yeah.
just I don't really know what to do with the information. I don't
Yeah, I think this is kind of proving Cat Williams' point.
a little bit. Hmm.
Because why you need Tony?
Right. It sounds like Tony's doing a friend a favor.
Maybe. I don't know. And Vegas need to write Usher a separate check because now everybody want to go to Vegas.
Right. Yep.
Everybody. Even if
He,
it's for a week, they're like, nah, I got a Vegas residency for 1 week.
yep. He brought it back. He did.
Yep. They need
He
to they need to
made
hit him with
it
another
cool
check.
again. I mean, not to say that it wasn't. There were a lot of huge stars that have done it in recent years, but not at this. I don't think at this volume that people are
Right.
doing it now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Listen, Usher made it cool again. Like you said.
Hmm.
You hit it right on the head with that one.
Yeah.
Right. Any
Yeah.
last thoughts?
That's it for me.
That's it for me too. We out of here. This is Weeknights. Thank you for being here. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Bye.